What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another Grizz 901 post-game show live here after a close game. And honestly, it felt like a playoff game just in general. When we looked at the game, the Grizzlies did lose 114 to 113 to the New York Knicks, but there's a lot of good that can come out of a loss like that. A lot of good that could have came out of a win like that. So if you look at both sides of it, there is some opportunity to look at a glass half full, but also kind of pick it apart a little bit. But we're going to get into all of the entire game. We're going to break it down as we always do. I did not actually secure a Grizz Trivia, and so I apologize. I've been looking through it, but instead of having a Grizz Trivia, I want to have a discussion with our guy Ryan, who is here in place of Nate tonight. And so we're going to pick the brain of Ryan through that segment, and then we're going to have him help us with a little look ahead as we look ahead to the next game. But that's all we got. We're going to have a fun show as we always do. Let's get it. Yo. Listen, it's not that late. You okay over there?
That was depressing.
Listen, the Grizzlies did lose 114 to 113, but in my opinion, it was a game that could have went either way. It was a game that felt like a playoff game. It's a game that the Grizzlies, they should have won, and we'll get into all of that and definitely much more. But kind of off the top rope, your initial reaction to that?
Like, it was weird because no one really shot well.
Right.
But I thought both teams played pretty well. And just the roller coaster of emotions in the last minute and a half.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe we did this. Oh, Ja just stole the game for us again too. What are we doing? Why is this person in the game at this moment? And then we switch to the next, but what's going on? Yeah, it really was a game, I think, to either team probably could have won. Right.
And that's what playoff games are, though.
It was a toss-up, and they had their moments. We had our moments. They closed.
Yeah, that's true. So I want to ask you, do you feel like DCC Asheville here? Because he is angry.
Look, I was when they I can't remember the time frame because so much happened, but in that crucial last possession or before the OG hit the three, when Brunson hit the three, we came out of a timeout with Zach Edey still in. And I was like, you probably have 4 better options sitting there on the bench because all you have to be at that moment, the Knicks are looking 3 or 5 out to drive.
Brunson was looking for a 3. He tried to do a step back to get to it, and they both collapsed on him, did not allow him that, and that's when he went back to the dribble and pushed out.
It was like I think Brunson thought that it would be a bunch of guards there, they would all switch, right? And he would try to switch onto somebody. Then when they saw Edey was still out there, I thought he got excited.
My God.
And so all they did was just that little simple screen, and Edey's in full drop. Not knowing the situation, and he just pulls up into a layup 3. Like that 3 for NBA players is the equivalent of like a high schooler doing a layup, right? And so then after that, they decided to switch. Oh, we got burned by a Brunson 3. Now we should go with Santi and Vince for the switchability. Yeah. And then Vince, for some reason, just decides to come double, leaving Santi to have to guard and rotate to 3 potential people. It was just odd. It was a strange 90 seconds.
Yeah, and that's what Marco was talking about here is like too many mistakes, not enough threes. That was the game just in general. But I want to go back to here to something Sane, but also who else brought this up? Here it is. So Re77 brought up the same thing as Sane did here. And it was, and this is this is what I enjoy the most about honestly being, I don't know if you want to call us media or just having a show just in general, whatever it is being able to pick the games apart without like being upset and just like, hey, let's fire everybody. I want to torch the entire world on fire. But like picking it apart, because if you look at that, when Ja fell, I literally I was watching on my phone because I had to go run to Sonic to get my daughter and my wife some food because they just got home from my daughter's play. And I was like, all right, I got to hurry up and book it. I'm watching on my phone. I'm like zooming into the game. I'm like, there is 2 timeouts still left. And we didn't call a timeout when Ja Morant falls on the ground he had 4 more seconds to go and had to get up and run and just didn't make it. Yeah. That was the biggest thing on the entire game, in my opinion. Right. Over the threes, over everything else, it was the missed timeout from Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of those. This happens one every 1,000 times where Ja gets stuck in a backcourt, right? Yeah. And I just think he just thought, oh, he's just going to blow by him, and then by the time he slipped and fell, he's like, oh wait, it's too late, you know. Right. And so I would say 99 out of 100 times that does not happen. Yeah. But it was just one of those times. And it just seemed like that final 45 seconds was just one of those times. Yeah. Like, we're shooting terrible from 3. They're not shooting great. They start making every clutch 3. Ja does his thing. And I thought he was going to finish at the end again. He got a good look at it. Yeah. It is just an odd ending to an otherwise pretty, evenly matched game.
Yeah, and so before I put the complete cherry on top and talk so good about it, I will say games like this allows us to look at these games and say, hey, why have Edie in the end of the game when it's literally Josh Hart out there that he was guarding? Right. Because his defense doesn't help you because you're not expecting – it's going to be gang rebounding no matter what. All they're going to do is put him on the perimeter of the defense. And so at that point, this is a learning experience. And I'm not saying for a coach that's been around for that long, I'm not talking about that, but like learning your personnel, like knowing that, hey, we took that lump and we, way back in game 60, whatever it is, like that's when he took that lump and just kind of realized it. Or maybe it was having Santi in and maybe not having Wells in to close as a defensive switcher, right? There's a lot of things that you can look at. And yes, these are negatives to the coaching staff. But if you look at it on the offensive end, Ja knows that he can close. And that's where the positive thing that I want to go to first before we get into a lot of these other guys, because I think I want to kind of do this, the idiot sandwich here. I want to give a little bit of a compliment sandwich and talk good about Ja Morant real quick, because he played well, and he had not played well. He's been struggling. And I want to talk about how good he looks, because what Ja Morant is doing right now is getting back to the way Ja used to look like. But if you look at Ja, 25 points, which, you're not looking at like, hey, at 25 points is huge, but 7 assists, not crazy good. 4 rebounds, not crazy good. 0 of 6 from deep again. Falling in love with the 3 too much, that's what teams are doing to him. But when they had to have him, that's what he looked like as a superstar closing a game. He looked like the real Ja.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I've said multiple times. I don't need him to go balls to the wall in game 62, but he has moments where it makes me think the playoff is full Jaws back, right? Yeah. And so I get game to game, it's easy to question it because we get upset about the effort and all that kind of stuff. And, the reality is you're just not going to play 82 games at your highest level. It's just not reality, right? Guys are going to take off. They're not feeling it. They've got injuries. Ja may have PTSD from getting injuries from going too hard, in regular season games. So, but to see these little flashes does feel like you said, it feels like a ramp up to what we're going to see in April, right? Which is super encouraging. So he's always been able to close. We know that. Yeah. I think once we get to the playoffs and it actually matters, that 6 threes a game thing is not going to happen anymore. He is going to be attacking more willingly. So we just got to get there. Yeah. Let's get to the finish line. I think they see it. Like they're just trying to get to the finish line.
But
They're
at what
ready.
cost? Like, that's the thing is, like,
Yeah.
I like games like this. And I was talking to guys on the Knicks side because I've kind of gotten to know a lot of them over there over the years. Been on shows on that side. And so I enjoy the Knicks fans just in general. And maybe not there at Madison Square Garden, but just over social media, over content creators, getting to know them. They're passionate, but they know basketball. And you can talk on a high level. And not that I'm ever going to be high level IQ on anything, but you can talk basketball at a decently high level. I'll go mid tier there, but it's enjoyable to see games like this. And both teams have a lot left to be desired on both sides. And I thought, talking about the Knicks, I thought they played a bad game, but I think the Grizzlies played a barely above bad, like maybe average game. And so neither team played great.
Yeah.
But is that because the Knicks made the Grizzlies like not play well and the Grizzlies make the Knicks not play well? Because if you look at a playoff game, you honestly think like everything's just in the mud. Everything is just so pivotal. That's not a word. Yeah, that one. Pivotable. No, that's not a bull. There's no bull in there.
Keep trying.
Yeah, I'm going to stop. But it just seems like it's one of those where every possession means something, and that's what it looked like tonight. Right. And I wonder, is that because of the defense on both sides?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Knicks are obviously a switch 1 through 5, try to be physical type team, which obviously they blew us out by almost 40 the first time doing that. Yeah. I mean, I thought the Knicks were kind of dead in the water, really. When we started the third quarter.
Okay.
I thought they got a huge lift from Miles McBride and the bench guys, which those guys do not play very often.
I want to talk about that later.
Like they don't play a ton of minutes, but I thought Miles McBride kind of brought an energy that the Knicks looked like they lacked, right? And kind of kept them even keel. Yeah. Until the starters were able to return. And then the starters kind of brought it a little bit more. So I don't know. It was a fun game in that it was exciting, right? We're used to Grizzlies games being we win by 10 to 15 or we lose by 10 to 15. But here recently we've gotten close games.
Yeah.
So now that we haven't had a large sample of size of this all season. So when we lose these close ones, it feels like death, especially in one that's super winnable like this, right? But then we have one where we kind of steal the other day where it's like, oh, this team can close. We're ready for playoffs. And now tonight we're like first round exit.
Yeah, exactly. I have some, because you don't get on as much. And so I do want to ask you more questions than usually I ask Nate because we talk to Nate so many times. We don't have to ask him important questions.
I felt bad for Nate. This was his night. Mitchell Robinson, first game back. Miles McBride going off.
Yes, he's a big douche McBride.
All he needed was the Knicks to sign David Roddy to a two-way today.
Oh, my God.
And he would have been
no doubt.
He'd have been floating this whole show.
Well, the media has asked, and I believe it's our guy, Paris Sharkey. Shout out to Paris Sharkey of, the Bluff City Media Grizzlies account. But looks like he had asked Jenkins about one of the last possessions there that forced a three. And Jenkins said that he told Vince to double Brunson. Do you agree with that decision? I know that we have hindsight, right? But do you agree to go ahead and double him up to maybe to force the ball out of his hand?
No, I mean, yes, Ja is the worst defender out there, perimeter, but the worst thing Brunson hurts him in is a drive, right? Like Ja's gonna not gonna let him shoot a three.
Yeah.
So at worst, we're going to overtime. The worst thing that can happen is to create such a lopsided help side for Santi where he has to try to close out to either option on the pass, right? Like you're taught on that closeout, you're going on the flight of the ball. You're not waiting, and it's hard to tell when two guys are kind of close to each other where that flight is. And I thought he actually got out there to OG pretty quick and challenged it pretty well from how disadvantaged he was because he had to drop all the way to the bottom.
Yeah,
Jaren came over, helped too.
Yeah.
So the fact they even got out there to close out as well as he did, I was kind of impressed with. But the double doesn't make sense because you're literally forcing the only thing that can beat you in that scenario.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the thing that bothers me is if you have a double. I want to, if I'm doubling, I want to double with under 5 seconds, maybe 8 seconds. If
You
I'm
got to be
looking at,
close. You
because
can't be far away like Vince was.
correct.
Because he
you want,
doesn't know where to go.
exactly.
It's not a run and jump. You know,
Right.
if all you basketball people that do traps and presses and stuff, you know the term run and jump.
Yeah.
But that is just a read on space and run and jump.
Correct.
Like they let the players read the space. If it's an opportunity to jump, trap, then
Correct.
they go for it. If they
Then
don't,
overcommit.
you read it and then you play off in the space. If he's just telling blindly to jump, he's too far away. There's nothing that you're jumping at to create that advantage to get the ball out of Brunson's hand. And in that scenario, it's the worst thing to get Brunson out of hand with two people and everybody else having to rotate.
And that's what I don't agree with. And maybe we might take it out of context, or maybe he was explaining something different. I don't know, because in my opinion, you don't tell one player to jump, right? There's no automatic jump, because what if he was on the other side, right? What if he got picked and switched and he went to the far side? You can't automatically jump. That can't be your defense. So I'm not saying that he gets a pass from that. I'd like to actually know and re-look at it. And we don't get the benefit right now because we're live on the show. But I would like to at least look at it and see what it looked like again, to see what, how does he come back, from, being off of his guy and creating that completely overhelped defense. It just doesn't make sense why he would do that. Up 2, if you were up 1, maybe, but honestly, it has to be anything under 8 seconds. And maybe that's too many, because you want to overhelp, make a split decision. And at that point, it's chaos, chaos, chaos. And you're counting on the clock as your helper, right? If you have 20 seconds left, they're going to be able to unchaos you, right? Everything's going to have to settle down a lot faster. And so I don't agree with that. I don't understand why you would overhelp with that. But
the razor's edge of it with coaching, of course, is like, if OG misses, you look like a genius for trying to trap, right? OG makes it, you look like an absolute moron. And that's unfortunate. Like, he's getting paid to be in that position. And so you have to take that. Like, that's just what you do as a coach. You make a decision, right or wrong. It hurts you, it's your fault. You're right. Yeah. If it doesn't hurt you and you win, then the players did the right thing. That is just kind of being an NBA coach. So he looks like an idiot tonight. If OG misses, we're like, oh, good idea.
Exactly. That's the bad part of coaching.
Actually, no, that one was so bad that even if he misses, most people's response would be, I can't believe that we did that.
What still won. I do want to say about AC Surreal saying here, maybe Jenkins trying to cover for Vince. Listen, I am all about taking the bullets for your guys and standing up for them. If you're trying to make something up like you told him, like, in all honesty, these dudes are professionals. If they make a mistake, say, hey, that is not what we were planning on doing. I think it was miscommunication or something. And it's just, what, it was a lapse of defense and chaos happened. Like, you don't have to take up for everybody on everything. I know Jenkins is a player's coach. I get that. But I don't see why this would be the time that you would actually do that. And so, AC, I think you're just trying to, piece out what in the world he could be thinking and why he would say that. It doesn't make sense why you would do that at that point. But I had to bring up somebody. Big task at hand. I do believe that's who it was. I just want to let him know, I think your keyboard is stuck. It keeps saying something about the Knicks. It's like Knicks, and it's like says something about the Knicks. I'm not sure exactly, but I think you have copy and paste in there, and it like you got to like use your other keys, man. No, but shout out to the Knicks. They did win. You're not going to see us fly off the handle. We're not going to be crazy. I promise. We'll always keep it real, and I enjoy playing the Knicks, and I will agree with Big Task at hand here. Hit the like for the Knicks, no doubt. I appreciate that. But I think the Knicks. Let's talk about them real quick, because I want to discuss them, because there's been a lot of discussions just in general on that side of the Eastern Conference and what they're doing. Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, I feel like are their offensive, cogs to the wheel, right? And then you have, and they don't play great defense. Cat's okay on the backside help defense. Then you have, Mikal, you have OG, and then Josh Hart's kind of your oversized, a lot better Jitty, right? Everybody knows in Memphis. He can knock down a shot. He grabs rebounds. He does a little bit of all the hustle plays, and he's a guy that you can depend on. Great. He's a great playoff guy.
Yeah.
Do you believe in this Knicks team? Because Jalen Brunson has been great, and he is the type of a guy that you can count on in the playoff type atmosphere. The problem is if you can run them out of the gym, it's hard for them to catch up, but they can always feel like they're in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks team is fun, I think, right? Now, the ceiling of that, I don't think it's an NBA Finals ceiling. And that's even making a finals appearance. I think they can make the Eastern Conference Finals pretty easily.
Yeah.
But I think they'd have to not face Boston, right? Like, I just don't think
that's the worst matchup for them.
I just don't think there's enough defense there for them between, Cat has been okay, like you said, but between Cat and Brunson, I'm not sure if there's enough defense between Hart and OG and Mikal. I mean, they do a lot for that team, and they play big-time minutes. I mean, come playoff times, I have a feeling these guys are going to play 46 minutes a game. Like, that would be my guess.
I'm talking about that next. I can't.
That would be my guess that they're playing 46 minutes. I mean, Josh Hart was in foul trouble. I think he only played like 20 minutes. This man probably felt great coming back into the game tonight because I think he averages almost 40 already. But no, they're super fun, right? Like they're a 5-out team that can score in a lot of ways. Josh Hart is their worst offensive player in that starting 5 lineup. And you saw it with Edey was guarding him. But he is kind of like Draymond light. Like he's a lot smaller version of Draymond. He's like the connector of everything to me. I mean, I can't admit to say I watch the Knicks all the time. So Knicks fans are in here. They can probably, tell us better about that. But he feels like kind of a glue guy that does pretty much everything offensively and defensively to kind of get everybody else taken care of.
And I look at the Knicks team just in general. I think that they are like you said, a fun team, and they're a solid team. Like you can't slip up against against a team like the Knicks. Like it's going to be a fight. Whatever series that they're in, even if it is the Celtics, it's going to, in my opinion, I think it's going to go to like a 6 games. Like they're that type of a team that's going to just beat you up and wear you down. But I do think that the ceiling is going to be at some point. My God, like
roof.
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof, and like it's just going to just like they don't have much room for error, and that's where it comes down to. But they're going to be playing so many minutes that my God is going to feel normal. A playoff series is going to feel just completely normal because Josh Hart, 29 minutes tonight, he's going to feel like a new man in the morning because he didn't play as many. But I do want to talk about their bench. Their bench isn't bad. Miles McBride is good. I really like him. There's so many pieces on that bench. I know it's our guy from Memphis, Campaign. Mitchell Robinson is now back. Precious Achiuwa, another guy from Memphis. Landry Shamet. Okay, just those 5. And I don't want to go in too much because the other guys are there, and I don't want to talk about the Knicks too long. But I think that if you look at this team, I think you could go the other way because there's a lot of Knicks fans that actually hate Tom Thibodeau. They don't think he's a good coach. I think that he's actually hurting this franchise and hurting this team because he does not play the bench more during the regular season. And I know some people will agree with that, but I know a lot of people say, well, yeah, but they're winning. But at what cost? And I've always said that. Right. I've always thought that their bench just so bad, that's why you don't play them. I think they're fine. I think they're just as good as the Grizzlies bench. It's just their coaches, in my opinion, I think he's just kind of a hardhead.
I think their bench is a bunch of wild card guys.
Right.
Like I see, that's the thing. Like Thibodeau is all about consistency, right?
Yeah.
And like campaign is so up and down game to game. Like he could be awesome for 2 or 3 games and then he's miserable for a month. Or he can be great one game. Like I think there's been plenty of times where on previous teams he's gotten 6 for 6 in one game and the next game he's 0 for 7. Like I just think the consistency of that bench Tibbs doesn't trust, which is why they don't play more. And he likes the consistency of the first 5, so he just keeps rolling with it. And I certainly don't blame him. Because, I mean, Precious is a good player, but there are many mistakes he made tonight where he's just not in rotation multiple times on defense. Yeah. And that's Tibbs' biggest pet peeve, right? So, I mean, I think for the standard of NBA benches, it's okay. I certainly wouldn't be hanging my job on the idea that, well, I got to play these guys 18 to 22 minutes a game, you know,
no doubt.
And expect a consistent throughout effort for all of those games.
Yeah. And that's where it comes down to. I just think that he could use them a little more. I think if you can trade out 10 to maybe 15 minutes in total, I think you save each guy on your starting lineup 2 to 3 minutes each.
Yeah.
And then I think you can still survive games just by doing a little bit of keeping everybody a little bit more fresh. I think that's where it comes down to. But anyway, let's move on from the Knicks. Don't want to talk about them too much. It was a good win, 114 to 113 over the Grizzlies. But getting back to the Grizzlies in general, let's talk about Desmond Bane. 24 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 of 4 from deep. The fact that he shoots 4 3-pointers and he doesn't make any, that's fine. Right. But why is the point guard go 0 and 6 and he's a terrible 3-point shooter? The whole reason, that's why you get to, I think we shot 12% from 3-point tonight, 12.9%. Like that's what bugs me the most is like find your shot. And that's where my complaint is with Ja is his bag it's just bland right now because he's either going to dribble, try to get to the front of the rim, do the push shot on the layup, and that's all he has. And maybe a push shot in the lane, maybe, but that's all he has right now. If not, he's selling for a 3.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is Bane is a well-known 3-point sniper and guarded that way, right? And Ja is not.
Yeah.
So they will concede threes to Ja all day long. Yeah, I mean, I thought Bane was pretty good tonight. Like everybody made mistakes. That was part of the game, but I thought he was probably one of our better players tonight, if not the best player out of this game, even though Ja almost closed it. I thought he was awesome overall. I got a little nervous when they showed him a few times after like fouls and the ball going out of bounds, and he's like kneeled over, kind of like grimacing a little bit. I'm like, oh no. Because he got a back thing that's flaring up again. Like, I would not expect him to play tomorrow. Like, I think he was questionable tonight, too.
Yeah, with the groin.
Okay, with the groin. That may be what it was then, not his back. But my first thought was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to play tomorrow, for sure.
Yeah, but if you look at him tonight, the fact that he was questionable with a groin soreness, just in general, that might put him out tomorrow. But in my opinion, if you look at the way, and Art, I'll get to this in 1 second. God, dog, sorry guys, y'all are rolling through here. I'm trying to just click different buttons. If you look at Bane and how he's in general like playing, it will, because he's got the ball in his hands more. And I heard Pete and Brevin talking about it tonight about how he feels comfortable with the ball in his hands, going back to his high school days, and then you went back to TCU. His usage rate was a little bit higher, and so him controlling the ball it's okay. It's more comfortable for him when he has the ball in his hands. The only issue with that is if you look at the game tonight, he had 6 turnovers just overall. I know it was a plus number, so I don't want to he was a great player when he was in, no matter the I guess it's in spite of the turnovers. But the 6 turnovers from him and 4 turnovers from Ja, that's the issue to me with those two. But the fact that he's only got 2 more turnovers than your point guard who should have the ball in his hands, that's where I can kind of be like, all right, I understand that maybe that's why they're rolling with him so much with the ball in his hands, but I still don't understand why he has the ball in his hands so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just you don't want to be predictable, right? And yes, we want Ja to have the ball as much as possible. But if that's every single play, then defenses can load up on that. And so that's where they go to Bane, and he was just probably a little more careless with the ball tonight. I don't know if that was the effect of the groin injury, right?
No, I don't think so.
But like turnovers are tough because you also have to consider who's on the other end. Like the very first play of the game is a wide open dunk for Edey. Ja throws it to Edey and just goes straight through his hands. At least I think that was Ja. Like whoever it was that was driving, I'm pretty sure it was Ja. Like he's wide open.
Yeah.
And Edey's just hands down by his side, and then he's surprised by the ball for some reason. So you kind of have to consider that sometimes. I mean, you just have to, when you have moments like that where you're having the turnovers, you have to make it up somewhere. And they did it on the offensive glass. And so they really evened it out to where most teams who shoot 19% or whatever you said it was, 12%.
12.9%.
Most teams in the NBA shoot 12% do not win a basketball game,
Correct.
let alone in it.
Correct.
So they murdered the Knicks in the paint. And so, yes, they weren't shooting well from three, but they did what their bread and butter is. And yes, they had higher turnovers, but they compensated it with offensive rebounding. So they just didn't finish at the end. But the fact that they can even be in a game with someone who's going to be a high seed in the East, that's going to be one of the top 3 or 4 favorites to potentially make an NBA Finals, is not half bad, in my opinion.
No
it
doubt.
Could be worse.
Correct. All right. So King Mix has got a funny question here. How do you ask a coach stop the turnovers?
I would love somebody to just phrase it that way in the post-game presser to Taylor.
Hey,
Taylor
coach,
over here. How do you ask to stop the turnovers? Have you asked to stop the turnovers?
Do they know that you do not like the turnovers? Like when we give the team the other ball, you know if they like it or don't like it. So, yeah, for sure. All right. I want to get to a couple more questions, but let's get to Titan MVPs right here. And if you want to have your question prioritized, as always, I promise you, put a super chat in. We'll make sure we get it. And so I haven't read it yet, but I'm about to. But welcome, Titan MVP. Don't be late, bro. Don't be late. Bane, that was Bane throwing to Edey in the first play, but through his hands. We called 12
straight through the wickets. I mean, not even close.
Well, and let me ask that question since we're on this. Was Edey this bad of a catcher in college? Because I didn't remember that. If he was,
I mean, nothing is as complex as NBA basketball, right? Like college basketball was pretty straightforward. But I mean, he did fumble the ball quite a lot in the post, but he just either regather or get the tip put back over the 6'6" kid, the sociology major. So but no, like Edey stat wise had a great game, right? Like he's part of the reason we out rebounded them so much. So stats wise, he looked great, but defensively, he has no chance. Like Josh Hart has to be missing shots in that scenario.
Right.
And he definitely shouldn't be in one of the most clutch moments of the game to play defense. So I don't know, like you mentioned earlier, was that a test to see what this might look like in a playoff atmosphere in the Western Conference playoffs and be like, all right, we can't do this with Edey. I don't know.
That's called a fail.
Or it was just straight brain dead, like just not thinking. Because how do you think about putting Vince in?
Right. But you don't think about taking Edey out. You don't think
about taking Edey out. No answers for you on that one.
Well, he's also asking.
Well, he's saying that we called 12 and he didn't answer. I disagree with that a little bit because I feel like 12 did answer.
Yeah.
But he's asking, and I'm trying to find this right now, and that's why I'm looking through it. So I apologize, but Ja Morant came out with 3 minutes to go in the third. Okay. He's asking about why he came out so long in the third and the fourth. And so I would assume I'm assuming he stayed out all of the third after he came out with 3 minutes to go. Or maybe not. It looks like he came back in towards the very end. And so Ja Morant came back in with 23 seconds. He came back in with 23 seconds left. Okay. Then he went back out, right, to start the fourth, because that's probably a one possession thing where he came in to kind of get an extra basket. That's when Ja got the tech. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
How much did the Grizzlies lose by tonight?
How crucial is that?
This is awkward. And then Ja, and the only reason I'm doing this is because it's always a struggle of mine with fans just in general, and not doing the entire MVP, and just in general, just looking through here. Everybody questions how much he was out or players are out, but I'm like, realistically, you have a lot of guys that are in. So he came back in the fourth with 7:16. So what is that? 4.5 minutes, and then he was out 3. So that's a total of about 7 minutes that he's out.
It's a long time. But it seems kind of standard for what they've been doing.
And honestly, you're still winning. You're up. You're 99 to 101 when he comes back in, and you lose. So that's the issue you're going to fight. And I'll challenge everybody to go to Basketball Reference the next day. So tomorrow, if it helps at all, go the next day and look up the game. Just click on the scores of the games and click on the game, and then look at the plus minus. It'll show you a net number. And I know you know about this more, Ryan, but an actual net number of when you're on the court, you get, a number. And then while you're off, how does the team do? And so it does both of them and gives you a net number of whether they were a plus, 10, your plus minus might show minus 10. But if you look at the net number, it could be a plus 2, just depending on how you are on or off. And so it just depends on how it is. But just in general, I think it's always good to look at that. But thanks for that, Titan MVP. Like I said, if anybody wants to get up there, just super chat. Always we'll put it up to the very front. But I want to go back to a couple more, and can't thank you all enough for hanging out with us. There's so many OGs, so many people here that we see so much. I can't thank you enough for just hanging out with us in general. Just on a random, it's a Friday night, guys. It's a Friday night, and you're here hanging out with us. So can't thank you enough. If you're watching this over on Twitter, which I know people are, join us over on YouTube. There's a lot of people that are talking and commenting a lot more over here on YouTube than there are on actual Twitter. But I want to get to a tour question here, and this is the question that everybody's asking. Jordan House wants to know: can Jenkins lead us to an NBA championship, or is he just set up to coach for another dude to do the job?
Oh, this is great, because I have one cooking in the barrel, but I've been waiting for. It's not a hot take, but I do have a good comparison, because no, he cannot lead us to an NBA championship, nor will he. This is everybody remembers the Last Dance documentary, right? Yes. Do you remember that season where Doug Collins was the head coach and they made the Eastern Conference Finals and they fired him to move up Phil? That is exactly what's going to happen to Taylor with Tomas Ilyasova, or whatever his name is.
You think?
100%.
His offense sucks.
It's part with him and the other guy, right? He is the coach in waiting. I'm just telling you that right now. Like, there is no reason that you're going to bring this guy over from a very successful short run in European basketball to all of a sudden be on your bench and have a heavy influence on the front of the bench. He's one of the key. When Jenkins was out, who coached the team?
Mm-hmm.
Him. Like, it is, I don't know how many years it will be, 2 or 3, no clue, but I would make a pretty firm wager that within the next 4 years that Tomas, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I don't want to offend anybody.
Just go for it.
He will be the coach of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with him, just for the simple fact as I haven't seen it. And in all honesty, like, if you look at this new offense, I know it's different and I know it's newish, but like, it does not help out your best players.
And we have now seen the tinkering that's gone on with it. And this is just me speculating, in my opinion, that he brought over the offense and they wanted to completely go all in on the offense and run the offense as Tomas Isolo, whatever his name is, wanted to have his actual offense. And I think as we've seen over time, guys like John Morant and Desmond Bane are like, hey, we got to make a little bit of tinkering to fit the NBA style, to fit my style. And I don't know if that's Jenkins. I don't want to give to anybody credit. Is it the players? Is it Jenkins? Is it other staff? Whatever. But like, I don't think that offense and that type, and maybe he's able to change as well. And so I don't want to completely say no. I just don't know enough about him, but I know that he cannot bring in and do the offense his way, whatever. And they're a better team. I think the offense is getting closer to where they actually need it to be. So I disagree. I think he can. I don't think this team's ready. I don't think, in all honesty, I don't think the offseason moves and the in-season moves. I don't think Zach Kleiman's done enough. The only thing Zach Kleiman's done is draft second rounders good. I'm just being honest. I think there's a lot of flaws within Kleiman, and I think that he can be a good GM, and I think he can be a good exec, just like Jenkins. I think Jenkins can be a good coach, a good exec. The problem is there's so many holes in what they do, whether it's in-game stuff and adjustments, whether it's making the crucial trades you need to make from the franchise. I think there's a lot going on. I don't think Kleiman's hurt us at all. I just think Kleiman won't actually – he can't get the job done when he needs to make a big decision, which I don't know what decision he made this year because it wasn't Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson wasn't pushing you over that. But either way. All right, let's pivot from there. Go ahead. Finish it up.
Oh, well, I mean, I was just going to say that Jenkins is a good coach, like he is, right?
Yes, yeah.
But this is, what year are we on with him? 5, 4?
I don't know.
We would have seen it by now. Like, usually coaches who have that it factor, and, you kind of know it when you see it on a guy on the sidelines, right? It doesn't take 5 years to incubate into being it.
Yeah.
So you're either it or you're not. And I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a good developmental guy. He's great for a young franchise looking for leadership going forward. But if he was going to be that guy, he would have shown that a little bit more, I think, instead of every playoff series that this Grizzlies team has been, they've lost the first game at home. How do you do that? Why are you waiting till game 3 to adjust? Like, coaches who have that in their DNA, it doesn't take 3 games to figure that out. Like, it takes a half or it takes a quarter. And that's kind of where, to me, it's just not there. Great guy, great coach, fine for the team. But the question about leading to a championship, I just don't ever see that happening for him.
Yeah, it'd be tough. And as Rusty's saying here is YAR 7. So I think it's supposed to be year 7, but YAR 7 for Kleiman. I think that Kleiman is a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I think that he has, I think he has a lot of issues, but I also think he does a lot of things really well. In my opinion, I think Jenkins would be phenomenal in the front office. Guy that can develop a team, a guy that thinks the right way to set your franchise up the right direction. All the faith in the world. I think, in my opinion, I think he lacks a little bit of judgment feel, the gut feel to make those game decisions because he hasn't played on a high level. No matter how much you coached it, it still has that feeling, that gut assessment that you can kind of make in just an instant. So I really do think that he has some holes. But Rusty, you're saying here 7 years of mediocrity. Their team is good. This team is really young.
I mean, a 60% or 55% winning percentage is better than a lot of coaches.
Right.
And so he gets credit for implementing the system that let the young guys thrive.
Yeah.
But it's nearing the point where it's time to go up another level.
Correct.
And I don't think he's that next level guy.
So if you look at the same team, and we'll end on this one because I don't want to spend too much time on Jenkins just in general. But if you look at a guy like JB Bickerstaff, I think JB Bickerstaff's a good coach. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
I think he's good for a developmental team. I don't think he can coach like on a high level. I don't think he has the CEO type guy that can manage a team, but also be a coach on the sideline to yell and get you to do and make those hard decisions to go against players or put you in the right position. Or, there's a lot that happens. I don't think that JB Bickerstaff is that type of guy. And that's why he did not do well in Cleveland with the exact same team pretty much. But that's why he's doing better with Detroit. It's just the type of coaches. I think they're all good. They're fine, but they need to be in the right situation. So either way, don't want to be on there too much, but I thought that would be a good discussion point. I do want to bring this up real quick because Carlos 15 can't thank you enough for this comment, because this is exactly what the Grizzlies missed tonight. They missed Conchar tonight.
He'd be perfect. Yeah. He neutralizes Josh Hart in every way.
I don't understand it. That if Jenkins, if you want to win a championship, it's time to play John Conchar.
Well, at the end, just Conchar is ice cold, and he's better than Edie in that last situation.
Oh God, we're gonna get so many idiots coming at us. Anyway, I thought that'd be funny, but thank you, Carlos. That kind of made me chuckle a little bit. I do love Jitty, but I think his time has passed for sure. But I still do love him. Is it Jock? Gotta be Jock, right? Fed Academy basketball shirt. That is right.
It is, yeah.
I knew it was, but
Good
I
eye.
was just asking. Yeah. But
even though I'm in Mississippi, on the coast, but yep.
All right, this is a question from Art. Art, hopefully you're doing well. I believe I think it's late there or early morning for Art over in Brazil. Thank you for always hanging out with us, Art. You're the best, man. But shouldn't Jenkins try more small ball? Wells is the power forward. Jenkins is comfortable with Jaren and at the center maybe, and Clark and power forward. We should try Wells, Vince, and even Lamar Stevens. Lamar Stevens is fine. If you're playing him, you're not serious, in my opinion. If you're playing Conchar, you're not serious. If you're playing Huff, you're just looking for somebody got hurt and you're trying to get a kind of a spurt real quick, maybe. But I don't think that they are real players. I'm talking like if you want to try it during the regular season game, cool. Like go for it. I don't care. I hope everybody can understand. I don't care about the regular season if you're a good team. If you're a good team, you're allowed to try things. Just see, if you can throw something against the wall and see what sticks. But small ball, I think the Grizzlies do well at it. Do you see this being something that they could use in a playoff game?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, because that's the way they're going to win, right? Like playing big is not going to work. Like it might work in Spurs, but if you're wanting to have a long or a deep playoff run, you're going to have to play more of a small ball style. And, I also think it depends on your definition of small ball, because Brandon Clark being in there is kind of small ball, right? Like he's not really. He's not going to stretch it out, but he has an absolutely deadly floater around the rim, right? So if you think of small ball as like Jaren with 4 other shooters, that's ideal, right?
Yeah.
But are the players ready enough to do that? Because you're talking about guys like Gigi, Vince, with Ja and Bane. Are those guys ready to contribute at a high level in the playoffs? No clue. Yeah. Probably not. But the idea, I think, is to just be more mobile and quick and fast all the time. And you need guards and wings for that. So I think they play small ball, quote unquote, a good amount, right? Because basically the only time they're big is when Edie plays, really. That's like their big lineup is Edie and Jaren. So the other 28 minutes of the game are technically probably small ball lineups for the most part.
Yeah. I like the small ball, and I think that's what makes a guy like Edie and Clark. I think that makes them so beneficial to you if you know how to use them right into a playoff series, because if you need to go big and maybe Edie is finding something that's making them make an adjustment that they can't figure out how to adjust, playing Edie,
you can go big and use him. And then once the adjustment's made, you go away from Edie, then you go small and you make that other adjustments. It's about, the playoffs are all about, and even regular season games like this, it's all about an adjustment that who makes the last one is usually the person who ends up winning the game or wins a series. And so if you can keep going back and forth, I do like the versatility that you can get with Edie, that you can also get with Brandon Clark. Maybe even Jay Huff is a guy that is completely a mismatch most nights is Jaren Jackson Jr. And so I know we haven't talked a lot about him tonight, but I think he's a guy that could be a mismatch as well. But I want to bring this up because this made me think of, since we don't have, and we're running long on the show just in general, and we're going to wrap up, this. Let's wrap it up with this. Because the Grizzlies end up losing, whatever. And I want to get to a few more things before we get out of here. But I want to pull this up by Courtney Springer because, one, I didn't know that we were blaming anybody, and I did not realize this. So I want to ask you, but I think this is a good early insertion of hashtag GrizzleVerse from Courtney Springer. Thank you so much. At 10:19 on a Friday night, y'all some fools blaming a rookie. Hold on. Let me go a different one. I'm gonna go a little country with Courtney. Y'all some fools blaming a rookie when the coach didn't make a simple adjustment. Memphis Grizzlies got real dumb fools that cover small markets.
Is she also Sling Blade?
It could be a guy. I don't know.
Okay. Oh,
guy,
yeah, it could
girl.
be. Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't mean to miss. Okay, we'll just move past it. Anyways,
a-hole.
No, I mean, not blaming him, but common sense says you don't have that guy in that moment. And we also complimented him for the game he had.
Yeah.
But thanks for tuning in.
No, yeah. I just wanted to bring it up. I thought it was funny. My country accent was horrible, but when you said girl, I was like, oh, that could be a girl. And then I was thinking guy. So either way, you can be either one. We don't know you. Thank you for hanging out with us. But no, we are some fools. I that's the only thing I do agree with, is we are some fools. But no doubt. GCC wants to be in GrizzleVerse. You are in GrizzleVerse already. Every time you come in here, you're in GrizzleVerse. But anyway, thank you all for hanging out with us. This is Grizz 101. I'm Daniel. That's Nate. We're gonna do the GrizzleVerse. Is it Monday night, Tuesday night? I don't know when they play next, after the weekend. Either way, the next show we do will be a GrizzleVerse show. But I don't want to get out of here. We're not leaving. I'm going to do 10 more minutes if that's cool with you. If you got 10 minutes,
sure. Yeah.
We're gonna wrap this up. But I want to ask just to put a bow on it. Grizzlies lose 114-113. Just overall, I think they'll be fine. Any closing thoughts about the game, just real quick?
No, I mean, it was really fun, devastating at the end, but that's okay. We're gonna have plenty of 15-point wins coming up. We're gonna be bored.
Everybody get back to normal.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on real quick because I want to ask some few things. Do you have anything? My wife just said I am so loud. Do you have anything about the next game, Spurs, on Saturday?
So the interesting thing about the Spurs, obviously the Wemby thing is horrible, and hope best for him. They've lost their last 4, I think. I don't know if they played tonight, but they've been shooting like 22% from 3 the last like 3 or 4 games. So law of averages, is this a potential where they're on fire? Maybe. But the team is just not very good without Wemby. And De'Aaron Fox hasn't been playing well anyways, but he's always been a Grizz killer. So I think it could be close. I think it could be close for sure, especially if Bane's going to sit out or something.
He's been playing so bad, no doubt. The over-under on this game, what do you think it is?
I would say in the 240s for sure.
241.5. Look at you.
Okay, yeah.
Line on the game.
I have a gambling thing if you want to, if you want a comedic break.
Well, what's the line on this? And then I'll get back to that.
Grizz. It's at home. Yeah. 7.5.
11.5.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay.
That seems high. All right. Sure.
What's your gambling thing real quick? And then I'm going to ask my important question of the night. So don't leave people.
Okay. So my son, all of a sudden crying, devastated. Go in there. What's wrong? This man's playing Roblox. I don't know if any of you as parents have experienced playing Roblox, but apparently you can trade pets.
Yes.
I don't know anything about this
You
world.
got taken.
I don't know anything about this world. So apparently he's doing some thing on there where you can gamble your pet to gain like a pack of like legendary whatever. So my 8-year-old son, it said he had a 47% chance, spun the wheel and lost.
Son,
and he lost.
That is
and he was
very
devastated.
much. Yeah.
He was like, I had a 47% chance and I lost it. And he was broken, absolutely broken. But I was just like trying to be supportive. Like, first off, what the is this? But
yeah.
And then secondly, like, good job, buddy.
You gotta learn. Thank you, Roblox, teaching my son pivotal. Oh my God!
You cannot
get it again.
Pivotal. Yeah.
Pivotal. God, I've kept putting pivotal. My bad. I'm gonna name the show Pivotal tonight. Anyway, a question that Art had was, do we have trivia tonight? No trivia, but I do have a trivia now. Kinda. I want to ask Ryan about it. But do you think that there's ever been an NBA team, and I'm trying to find this out, and I've not figured it out yet. And so instead of me asking a Grizz trivia question, because I don't know the exact answer, so I thought that was a bad thing to go in with if I don't know yes or no. But I cannot find it. My question is, has anyone in the NBA, let's say the last 25 years, because we'll go back to 2000, you can go before then if you like, but the last 25 seasons, any team started 2 rookies and won a playoff series?
I would say no, right?
I can't find it.
I would say most playoff teams don't start 2. I think you could. I don't think there's probably any playoff team who's ever started 2 rookies more than even won the game.
Well, so there
won the series anyways.
Yeah, so I can't find anybody that won a series, but I can find them that won a game. And so let me go through these
2 rookies. Were they just terrible 8 seed teams? I would assume not high seeds, right?
So the last one is 2017 Bucks. This is not counting them. So 9 teams have won a playoff game with at least 2 rookies starting. That's just that won a game. And that's why I wanted to bring this up, is because 2017 Bucks had you're gonna laugh at it. Could you guess the 2017 Bucks who was their 2 rookie starters?
2017.
Let me give you one.
Starters. Malcolm, no.
Yes.
And Malcolm Brogdon was one?
Malcolm Brogdon and Thon Maker.
Thon Maker. He started a playoff game?
All right, let me read off the other ones, okay?
Yeah.
And 2013, the Warriors beat the Spurs. Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green. Draymond Green did not start ever.
Okay.
And he started a game. That was the difference. That's why if you look at these, they're not playing a lot. They're just not playing a lot of games at all, and they're not starting. So if you look at 13, Draymond wasn't starting, but he started a game. 2005 Chicago Bulls. Any idea?
2005. So 2 years after LeBron.
So they beat the Washington Wizards 2 games in that series.
2005.
Former Dookie Chris Duhon and Andres Nocioni.
Well, wasn't he older though, from like Argentina or something like that?
If I know. Okay. I don't remember Nocioni. I just remember the name. All right. So before then, 2003 Orlando Magic. They actually beat the Pistons 3 out of the 7 games. It went to a 7-game series. They won 3 games. Can you name? You should be able to name the 2003 Orlando Magic rookies. One of them played for the Grizzlies.
2003. Oh, Mike Miller?
Nope.
Oh.
The guy we traded for. So it's
I cannot think of
Drew Gordon. Sorry,
Oh,
Gordon.
yeah.
Drew Gooden.
Okay.
Sorry, Drew Gooden. And I was reading Gordon over here. Gordon Girichek.
Okay. Wow. No.
Yeah. All right. Let me go through one more before we get to 2000s. I'm not going to bore you after that. 2002 Jazz beat the Kings in one game. Andre Kirilenko and Jaron Collins. I don't even know who Collins is.
Oh, okay. The twin?
Sure.
That's the twins, wasn't it?
I have
Jaron
no
and
idea.
Jason?
No idea.
Isn't he a coach now? Isn't he coaching like the
Sure.
assistant for the
I
Wizards?
believe you.
Or not
Yes.
the Wizards, the Warriors?
Hey, but a little known fact. 1998 Cleveland Cavaliers took one game from the Pacers, starting 3 rookies. Any idea?
Really? 1998. Cleveland.
2 guys have Memphis ties.
Darius Miles.
Nope. 2 guys have Memphis ties.
DeJuan Wagner.
Chat, can you name it? 1998 Cleveland Cavaliers. Let me give you the first one.
No clue. Cedric
Henderson.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. This one has no Memphis ties.
Used to watch his son a lot at Briarcrest.
Zildrunas Elagauskas.
Okay. Wow.
Third one, you heard him a lot tonight. Brevin Knight.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a little fun thing. You can go all the way back to like the 90 Spurs. They had this is the first one because I've not seen this. This is just revelation to me. They beat the Denver Nuggets. David Robinson and Sean Elliott beat the Denver Nuggets, and then they beat the Portland Trailblazers. So I guess that's the first ones that won a series. So there it is. I'm glad I finally got through it. The ones before that were some other guys with the 86, 76ers. Anyway,
okay.
Interesting to know. It just goes to show that you don't start 2 rookies, one.
No.
And to win a game, they're talking about winning a game, not even a series, a game. And so that's what I wanted to bring that up because who is the one rookie to win it all? Do you know who that is? I do.
I would assume it's Magic, right?
It is Magic. Yep.
When he was center.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you know who was a rookie who went to the finals last year? I know a lot about rookies right now.
Celtics.
Nope.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of the teams in my head.
Mavs,
Lively.
Derek Lively.
Yeah.
And so you can look at a guy like a Derek Lively and say, hey, that actually makes sense because he's more of a role player and can be a guy that you can depend on. The problem is you can't, there's not usually 2. There's very little that play on a consistent basis. There's very little that play 20 plus minutes. It just doesn't happen a lot. So all of that to say is it hasn't been done since 1990 when 2 rookies have started a game and won a series. And so this will be groundbreaking in all honesty, if for some reason that we still go with Edey, full steam ahead. And then we have Wells. I know that we have, John Jaren Baines surrounding them, but it's the fact that you're starting 2 guys that it's their first year in the league. It's big. So, So it's important to know. And I wanted to kind of, temper a little expectations, but it's also going to be fun if that happens like that, because it hasn't been done for over 35 years.
Right.
So either way, but anyway, interesting stats. And I wanted to bring that up. It's kind of having a Grizz trivia. That's more of a Grizz talk discussion. Terrible. All right. Final thoughts on the night, just overall. Anything else you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No, I mean, sucks to lose, but there's nothing wrong. Right.
Yeah.
Sky's
not falling.
Well, yeah, we are what we are. We'll be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's get to April. Let's just get to April.
For sure.
That's
give me
all we're trying to do. One more month. Well, a month and a half. We're just getting there.
The next 2 games should be good. It should be definitely wins. But we'll get through these. Yeah. So you never know. But hopefully the Grizzlies bounce back out of this. It was a tough night, but I can't thank you all enough for Astronomo says, what's fine? I love it. I never change, my guy. Never change. All right, that's all we have. Thank you all for hanging out with us. It is always fun. It's always been a good time. I think that this is really where we're kind of hitting the stride towards the end of the season, where we're having great shows, great numbers. The bigger the numbers towards the end of the season, it always happens. But it's always fun when it's the same familiar faces, but then we keep adding people every show. Every time we have a show, there's always new people that I've never seen that get in here and talk like we're all family. Whether they've seen the show a million times, they just never talked, or whether they're just in here and they feel comfortable enough to chat. I think everybody has a good, friendly banter back and forth. So it's always a good time, but I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing the comments just kind of flowing as they always do. But that's all we have tonight. We'll see everybody back here. Is it Monday or Tuesday?
I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody? Bueller? I think he's going to February. I'm in March. Monday. All right, Monday night. Hawks.
Oh.
There we go.
Fun one.
That'll be a GrizzleVerse. Don't miss that one. It should be a long, extended GrizzleVerse. A lot of talk about Jaron. Monday, you dip crap. Thank you, Minx. Love you too. All right, that's all we got. We'll see you all dip craps Monday night after the show. Be nice and tell your friends.